got done doing a little video of my summary of the last 2013, last 6 years of Ironman racing. Got Ironman Tulsa coming up in May 2020, so I want to make sure I got some good goals in mind when I do the race. And kind of, it's always good to go back and look retroactively, especially DNF at Ironman Texas 2014. Kind of see where you're at, where you went, where you're going, where you're headed, what your goals are compared to how you've been doing, and then what you've been doing in the meantime. Because I've been kind of frustrated. The last couple races have gone a little bit awry, especially in the run, getting GI distress. Ironman Chattanooga 2004 or 2019, a little bit difficult because it was 95 degrees on the run, so it's hard to pinpoint and say, hey, you're not going to do well at this race because you're just not trained, versus, hey, it was hot out there and we didn't really expect anybody would have a good time. I wanted to show this because this is a key in planning out your off season, is lining out your goals, what you want to do. You're just like, I just want to race. I just want to train and finish, and I'm not really worried about much else. Then you don't really need much retrospection. If you have time goals, if you are taking on a challenging course, say like Ironman St. George, a lot of climbing and weather conditions can be extreme, or you're doing an extreme race somewhere, Patagonia man or something like that, horseman, you need to be a little bit proactive thinking. You can't wait till the last minute to think about this stuff as you're going along, moving into race season. It can't be a after the fact thought of, oh yeah, I need to train on this, I need to train on that. So you saw a little bit about my race history. There's Ryan. We're on Set the Pace Triathlon. Shortcut, scptry.com. So I'm doing this off-season webinar because a lot of my athletes are hitting the off-season. Imagine that. A lot of them are signing for Ironman Tulsa, which is in May. So this right now is a key opportunity to do multiple things with your off-season. And not, the key is to get what you need as far as your training goes, but not to burn out in the off-season or post-season, however you want to call it. So I am following that path as well. I'm doing Ironman Tulsa in 2020, so that's kind of important. I've been doing tries since 2004, coaching since 2012. I'm a USAT, please pardon my sloppy handwriting, level 1 coach, tri-coach, and I am a Ironman U certified coach. So I have those credentials that I've earned. And just you saw my little bit of my race history. I've AWA for Ironman, the USAT Olympic qualifier for several years. I've done it in 2017. I raced, hoping to hit it next year, 2020. Those a little bit of my, like I said, you saw my kind of my Ironman results. I've done half Ironmans, got to like 501, I think, at Chew. Ironman Chattanooga 70.3 in 2018. So that was a good race, good day. Enjoyed that. So personal history. My wife, we've been married for 12 years, and actually 12 years today, November 14th. And I did get her a card. And I sent her a text message, and we're going to go out to dinner. So I totally didn't forget about it. But 12 years, we've got 3 kids. We've got 1 dog. We've got 1 cat and 1 hedgehog. So that's quite entertaining sometimes. And we also pet sat a cat this past weekend. So we had 2 cats running around with all this stuff. So take that into account. Running your own little business and busy. Used to do the day job. My wife has a demanding day job, so I am also on duty as far as kids in the morning, kids in the evening. So the time during the middle of the day is time that I have to get stuff done. And you got to be organized and thorough and direct and motivated to make sure you fit it all in. I've had the day job. I still do my early morning workouts, lunch workouts. I don't spend all my day training personally as a coach. I spend my time coaching my athletes. So this is also applicable of things that I am busy and understand the busy lifestyle that we all have. So I just want to make sure you knew a little bit about my background. Said first Ironman was 2013, been racing triathlon since 2004. And first full marathon was 2004. And after that, I said, I think half marathons are great. Stick with that. And here I am, 15 years later. So let's see what we got on to. So basically what we're looking at is 2009 off season or postseason, however you want to call it, however you want to look at it. Personally, for me, like I said, doing Ironman Tulsa in 2020 in May, it's more of a postseason. It's a little bit of mixture. It's not a true off season. The fact that I'm just taking some time off or anything like that. And once you kind of get into the long course, 70.3, 140.6, it becomes kind of a status or a status quo, if you will, of your effort over time. Not really taking time off, but maybe time off of intensity, but you're still doing things. So most of the people that I'm targeting with this conversation is the people that are not just taking months off. Well, you take a week off after your full Ironman or something like that, and Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year, all that kind of creep in. But generally, you're starting here, point A, after your 2019 season. So you've done your races, you did either well or mediocre or poor, or this is your first really getting into it. So you're just level here. And in 2020, you want to be up higher. And maybe your A's down here and your B's up here. Wherever you're going, you want to make a progression up. But the big question is, what can you do to get there? So you could do option one, kind of what you've always done, maybe a little bit of volume, kind of keep your base up over the winter, and maybe you kind of take a little dip and you kind of go up and down. And your B over here is your big race. Maybe it's in the spring, maybe it's in the fall, summer, whatever. And then you got to spike up in a shorter amount of time to get there. Or maybe even worse, you kind of go down, and then you're like, oh crap, I need to ramp it up. Or what I propose in the off season, you're actually making gains. So when you get to the point where you're really race specific, it's not a huge ramp up, because this, setting yourself up for burnout, injuries, all kinds of alienation from the family as you take weeks off doing your training. Your weekends are just crammed full of 100-mile bike rides and 20-mile runs and all this other stuff. You're just making a lot fit in a little amount of time, when you could be a little bit smarter in your off season and get a lot done in the off season. Get yourself set up for a prime position when you're starting your 2020 build up, either race specific planning or training, whatever you're doing, getting ready to ramp up and get to that A race. But the key is here, getting from point A to point B and not burning out, not getting injured, and making progress in the off season without losing your mind, without the alienation and everything else. So I'm going to go over a little bit of keys. You're starting out at point A, you got B, you got your off season. And your baseline fitness. My athletes, I do a swim, bike, run fitness test. Nothing crazy, nothing expensive. All it is you go out, you put a lot of effort into these workouts, and you come up with swim, and I do speed because I don't really train and swim with heart rate. Bike, try to get FTP, try to get your heart rate zones, and run your heart rate zones. So for my athletes, I have these prescribed tests I give them beginning of the off season, and they do the tests, and I update their data, update their information in Training Peaks and Garmin Connect. They do that, and then they know where they're starting with, because the off season, the actual training plan that we'll get into is geared towards wherever they're at. So as you go through, you periodically test. 4 to 6 weeks. See if you're making progress. You need to change your zones. You're decreasing, and you need to kind of change your mentality to hit the heart workouts a little bit harder. So it's find out what your baseline is, and you periodically test to find out where you're at. So as you're going through the off season, you know if you're making progress, or you know if you're not, or you know if you're maintaining. So it depends on your goals. If you don't really care about your progress, then I wouldn't worry about baseline fitness testing. Then the obvious part, off season, is your swim, bike, run workouts. So there's going to be a lot of speed stuff. I do reverse periodization. There's going to be a lot of workouts. It's going to be a lot of intensity, but it's going to be shorter amounts of time, shorter durations. The weekends, you might get into 90 minutes, maybe max 2 hours. It just depends what your goals are. But these swim, bike, run workouts will test you. They'll either do technique, they'll do speed, power. So that's another one, technique. And we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more in her bullet point. So you're working the speed, you're working the power, you're doing FTP sets, you're doing different things to work different systems to get that cadence up, to really get the heart rate up, and kind of work up and down, get the heart rate up, and other times you're getting the strength up. You're doing different things and pushing your body in different ways that it's uncomfortable working. And the key is these workouts, you really got to work at them. You got to do the high intensity. You can't just kind of roll through them. And if, on the off season, if you're just doing volume, you're just doing time, sitting on your bike, doing your runs, doing your swims, and it's just about volume, you're not really going to increase the key metrics to get you to a higher point before you get to B. You're going to maybe maintain, maybe decrease, maybe increase a little bit, but you're not going to make bigger gains like you would less time making those workouts really count. The off season is also a good time for injury prevention or recovery. So maybe 2019 didn't treat very well, so you got to do some physical therapy. You got to do some chiropractic work. You got to do some sports doc for different various, whatever injuries, niggles, naggles, whatever you got going on. Now's the time in the off season to really address that before you jump into the high intensity stuff. Maybe you have some shoulder issues, but you still do bike rides or runs or something like that. But this injury preventions, you need to get that stuff taken care of in the off season, because you don't want to roll into your race prep or race training block with still dealing with injuries from a year ago. So the off season is a great time to address that kind of stuff. Off season is a good time to look at new gear. Especially now's the time, especially in the fall, you got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you got all these deals going on. So it's a good time to look at, are you doing a new bike seat? You're going to try out some new types of shoes. Maybe you went to a sports stock and recommended a new type of shoes. So the off season is a good time to try those out. Maybe you're going to do clip-on aero bars on your road bike. Maybe you're going to try a tri-bike for the first time. And I know, like Quintanaru, who I work with my group, they have huge sales. So in the fall, they're always looking to offload last year's models. So now's the opportunity to get into a tri-bike if that's what you're interested in. Getting used to it over the off season, because it has drastic change from a road bike. Gone over that several times. So now's the time to look at this stuff. And then your old gear, if you're still going to use it, like your bike, make sure the fit works. So now's the time to get with a fit specialist. Maybe, I've done retool. Not a huge fan unless the fitter is a good fitter. But you can also I've got a guy that comes to my house and does my fits. So along with, your bike maintenance of getting your bike tuned up and everything over the winter is getting a fit done. Because over time, your body changes, your flexibility changes, and you may not be able to hit the same angles and produce the same power as you could in the past. So now's the time to also kind of check the old gear and make sure the fit's good. So we will run out of room. So if you forget all those, you can always pause the video and go back. Then, I always love hitting the strength. So this is where you can go heavy. Assuming you're in a good spot, no injuries or anything like that. Strength is why I like to kind of revert back to the good old days in football in high school and just bench press, squats, all kinds of fun stuff. You could do those because you don't need as much recovery because you're not doing longer workouts. You're not doing 6-hour bike rides or 20-mile runs or anything like that. You're doing an hour at most each day. So recovery is faster, so you can do heavier lifts. But you also want to work on flexibility, mobility, stabilizer muscles. All these kind of things that maybe we forgot about during the early season because we're focused on swim, bike, and run and everything else, and that takes up all your time. Off season, a good time to hit that strength. So make sure that you're comfortable getting out there and pushing hard in the weight room. Off season is also a good time to check on your technique. So drills in your workouts. So make sure you have good form. Maybe now's the time to get a swim analysis, a run analysis, a bike analysis, like you said, bike fit. That didn't look right. There you go. So you get your swim analysis, run, bike fit, whatever, technique. Make sure you've got good, proper technique. Now's the time to address it and fix it before you really ramp into your race-specific stuff, because you want to kind of roll in different techniques, different run forms, different bike situations and setups. You want to roll that in gradually. You don't want to get into your bike or your race prep and then right at the beginning you're like, wow, I want to change my run form and I've only got 4 weeks left until my race, so I need to just jam it all in now and finish it and change it. If you change your technique, you're going to hit different muscles and you could potentially set yourself up for injury or anything like that if you try to do it too soon. So technique's a good thing to be looking at the off season too. The off season is also a good time to take a break. So with shorter workouts, with less workouts probably, you have a little bit more time to actually take a mental break, still be doing your workouts and still not just fall off the bandwagon of not doing anything, but take a break, refocus. Like I did where I had the board before, where I had all my races in the past. I was just kind of curious, putting them all together, kind of what kind of played out and going over my mind, what were the conditions, what was the training like. Did I follow my training plan, like I said? So refocus. And it's not just race goals, it's life. Maybe kids graduating high school, kids doing different things. So now's the time to make sure that life is in balance and refocus, set back, you have a little bit more time to think about these things. Rejuvenate. So this could be getting massage, this could be introducing meditation, this could just be finding some downtime at the end of every day, just kind of relax and sit back and just recuperate, recover, not be in such a hurry all the time. Also put in things like compression boots and stuff like that. So maybe this is time to look into recovery options, rollers, all that kind of fun stuff. I use Rapid Reboot. Maybe this is time to sit back, especially like I said, all the deals and sales going on in the fall. It's time to sit back and like, oh, let's see what's out there that I can possibly use to help the recovery process. find out what works in the off season and carry it over into the regular race season. Then reconnect. So all of those family members and all those friends that maybe took a back seat that you do want to keep in touch with, sometimes you take a break and you realize, yeah, I don't really miss them not in my lives that much. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the truth sometimes. But now's the time to reconnect, set that foundation, because once race season rolls around again and you start getting into that mode of training and logistics and everything else and making life a little bit busier, you're going to need those connections later on to really support you in your races to make everything as comfortable as possible. So make sure you take time to reconnect. Don't just train through the holidays and everything and just forget about everything else that's going on. So make sure you reconnect. Then got one more recommendation for the off season for focus. Everybody's favorite topic, nutrition. So now's the time to, in your workouts, trying to bring stuff in. What am I spelling if I spelled stuff wrong? Experiment with nutrition. So if you found out, like I said, GI issues for me on particular races, kind of found a solution for GI issues, but I was severely dehydrated in Chattanooga, but it was like 95 degrees, so it's kind of a one-off. But through experimentation, I found kind of what works for me. I am a big fan of, for my cramps, Hot Shot, that works well, but I've found cannot use it on the run because it upsets my stomach and it causes problems. So through the off season, I've kind of experimented. Okay, I do it for the swim, I do it in T1, and then on longer races, I find out the point where I need to cut it off, and I do it in training rides. I'm doing a 50-mile ride, 60-mile ride, cut it off a certain point, and then go for a little run afterwards and see if there's a problem or not. So now's the time to find, you know, what brands of peanut butter, if you're going to do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, what nutrition you're going to use. Are you going to switch from whatever you're using, maybe try like you can or something like that in your drink? Or are you going to just go all Gatorade endurance to match what's on the course? So now the off season, it's time to kind of refocus on that kind of stuff. Find out what works for you nutrition wise. Personally, I've found what works best is kind of things that are still appealing when you're out there on the run course. I found that I just cannot stand gels, goos, shots, chews, bars, anything they got at those things. The only thing I could stomach was Red Bull, and even Chattanooga, hitting the special needs, I just could not bring myself. I had peanut butter M&Ms, which I just wolfed them down in T2, but I didn't want them. I had Pop-Tart bites, which I didn't want any of those. They were all cold. I put ice bottles in there to keep it cold. I just didn't want any of it. The only thing that I could stomach and didn't cause an issue was actually Red Bull. It kind of worked well, give you that sugar spike, but I was seriously dehydrated at that point, so it was kind of tough anyway. But in retrospect, I should have eaten more on the run. So now's the time, possibly, look at how much you can eat on the bike, how much you can eat on the run and still not have problems. Always stressed, setting yourself up for the run on the bike is key. And if you don't eat enough, that's where I've gone wrong in my past races, is not eating enough on the bike and then trying to play catch up on the run, which just doesn't work. Your stomach's not working at that point. So how much can you cram in your stomach for nutrition? For water, before it's just uncomfortable. Now's the time to find this out on the training ride rather than go on race day and try to figure it out. So find out what your limits are as far as that kind of stuff goes. Next, we're going to talk about so this is a little bit kind of encompassing wrapping all this stuff up. And now I kind of hit the highlights of everything. So you want to be you want to be either kind of going up here at a constant rate, kind of going up and then going up. You don't want to be either maintaining or going up, possibly maintaining, it just depends, but you don't want to go down. So you don't want to do that. So for my athletes, one-on-one, I'm already working this into the plans. We're already going over it. But for you guys, especially on this video, I put together an off-season plan. If you go to, make sure I get the website right. Set the pace triathlon.com / off-season 2019 sign up. So I'll post that in the video as well. Post that the link in the comments if you watch this later. So the key is everything we just talked about, I incorporate into this off-season program. So you kind of go over the things you'll get with that. Kind of address some concerns maybe that people have with their off-season program. So again, I'll rewrite that. So triathlon.com off-season 2019 sign up. So what I have done is put together all the stuff we just talked about and make sure got everything in there. So the things you will get that will help you out for all one of those is there's a couple different things. I have 8 different virtual groups for different races next season. I mentioned Tulsa 2020. I'm going to be in that group. So you can join one of my virtual groups. You avoid all the setup fees and all the other stuff, and you're just in automatically if you sign up. Get into my membership for Set the Pace Triathlon. So we do weekly calls. We do access to other training plans, access to tutorials on top of this. So you get pretty much the hands-on from me. You get direct contact from me, and through that, kind of help you guide you through the off-season specifically, and then later on you go into your races and stuff, and I can help you out there. So that gives you a little bit more closer access with me. So weekly calls, educational videos, that you get up-to-date workouts that maybe aren't a part of the plans, but if you get a little bit bored or you want some different flavors, you can go through and find different workouts to substitute them in, that type of thing. You get my triathlon checklist PDF, but it has example links to gear that I use. So after I've been basically developing this thing since 2004 when I've been doing races. So basically over time, I've kind of narrowed it down to these things I pack and where I put them and that type of thing. So it's a good triathlon checklist to have. So you get that for signing up. 2018 PDF of workouts. So I mentioned you get access to workouts in the membership. 2018, every workout I've ever made, I put into one big PDF and you get that. But the membership, you get access to, like, you know, it's November 2019 right now. I've made workouts as I've gone along, and you get access to anything that's not in this 2018 PDF. So anytime I put a workout in, any day of the week. You also get this sweet hat. So if you like that, you get one of these. If you are in any of my Facebook groups or like my page, you see the weekly tips I post, well, then you get a PDF of every tip I published for the year. So you get 52 tips. This was from 2018. I wanted to develop a 2019 one. So any thought I've ever had on any subject, if you like, picking up what I'm putting down, then you get 52 tips on PDF. Remember what we talked about, setting your zones and setting your fitness and testing your fitness? You get fitness protocols, so the actual testing procedures. So swim, bike, and run, you get the test protocols, you get access to calculators that I use to figure out heart rate zones, power zones, and all that kind of fun stuff. So you get access to that I developed for my athletes. You get a race day planner PDF that basically is color coded to what you need to be thinking about when you get to race day, instead of just getting there the week of and being like, there's so much to remember, I can't remember it all. This race day planner just kind of lines it all out and what you should be thinking about. So if you sign up for the 2019 off-season, post-season, whatever you want to call it, you get in there and you do your training and you get into 2020 and you feel still a little bit lost trying to get ready for your race, maybe you're tackling a full Ironman for the first time, you could get 20% off on my one-on-one coaching. So if you signed up anytime before it closes, then you can get 20% off of 2019 rates. So that's kind of a nice little bonus. Also, a key is, so you don't just sign up and then you're off and running. You do get weekly updates from me. So there will be calls, they're part of the membership, and then a weekly update to help you with each one of those points that we just kind of went through, with training plans, with swim, bike, and run, with technique, with drills, all this other stuff, fitness test protocols. How do I do a fitness test protocol? How do I apply it? Instead of just giving you a bunch of crud, I'm going to give you the instructions on actually how to do it. So you're not just at point A, point B, here's some stuff. You're also going to get help from me to get you there. Because people always say, oh man, I don't have enough money for a coach. The race fees are so much, the gear is so much. Well, the nice thing about this is right now, all this stuff, and forgot to mention, you do get a training plan in Training Peaks. So you get 80% off the 2019 off-season plan that I've created. So again, I don't just dump all the stuff off on you and then you're off and running. So right now, $59.99 until, I believe, Cyber Monday. So you got some time to get in there, but once Cyber Monday hits, it goes up. Then once January 1st hits, close it. Because for the most part, January, there's going to be some people that are off season January, February, March, that type of thing. But for the most part, most of the people I'm on board with, their off season is going on right now, and they kind of need some guidance. And all this stuff kind of helps you out. Right now, that is what the current price is. So make sure that you hit setspacetriathlon.com off season 2019. Sign up, because I'm going to close it. So once if you've not signed up in 2019, you don't get access to the rates, you don't get any of this stuff, then you're going to have to wait till the next off season where I kind of upgrade everything and revamp a little bit and kind of update it. Then I'll open it back up. This is all the kind of stuff you get. Because like I said, a lot of people are like, well, I can't do $200 a month in coaching and then, pay $150 for a plan. Especially during the off season, there's holidays coming up and people gotta buy presents and everything. This is just a one-time fee. You get a lot going on with that. You get help. It's not just stuff. You get help from me and guidance of what to do with all this stuff. So it's a one-time fee, $59.99. The other key thing is a lot of people are like, oh man, I just don't have time. Well, like I said, a lot of the workouts are less than 60 minutes. Most days, there's one workout. A few days, there's two. if there's 2 per day, sometimes it's just a strength session. It's 15, 20 minutes. You can do it at home. It's not that big of a deal. So a lot of people have made progress in the off season. I've had athletes came to me. They're good athletes to begin with. They just didn't have that structure. So they got opportunities to put some structure to it. On the other side of it, they saw increase in FTP, power, heart rate zones, everything, speed on the run. So then they can hit 2020 in refreshed state, and they felt good about themselves going into that season. Like I said, you do have enough time because there's only 1 per day. Most times there's 2 per day. And don't worry about, if you want to get better in the off season, don't be like, oh, I'm just too old. I can't get faster. I'm proof. I'm 42, and I keep cutting time off my marathon, standalone marathon time every year. And I am not killing it by any means. I think the max I get is 40 miles per week. My training or Ironman build, typical is 25 to 30 hours a week, or 30 miles a week, usually. So nothing crazy. But being older, an older, more mature athlete isn't a big problem. Like myself, I've gotten better at my standalone disciplines. Still need to work on my little game plan for as far as nutrition. That's always a work in progress. But just make sure that you kind of know you have a game plan for the off season, and you know what you're getting into, especially if you have lofty goals in 2020. Don't just go into 2019 off season just being like, well, I'm just gonna keep my base. I always hate that. Keep my base. Don't keep your base. Improve your base. It's not too much. You're not too old, and it doesn't take that much time. So make sure you check it out at least. And if you have any questions, you can always contact me. I'll be happy to answer any questions.